lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party. Roll up to the party, roll up.
Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. Good morning, and it's a big game this weekend. We play Kilmarnock in the league. I think we can, because of all the excitement of the Champions League this week, we tend to forget about the game that's coming up this weekend. And it's another hard game. Although the last time we played Kilmarnock at Kilmarnock, all we needed was a draw. All we needed was a draw to win the league. It's a bit different times now. We're obviously still at just over the first quarter of the season, getting towards the halfway mark of the season. And we face a Derek McInnes side that's getting a little bit of confidence back after they've been struggling down the bottom half of the table. There is Celtic news coming up with regards to transfers, but I just want to get this bit out of the way first. And I know that the Celtic media will tend to ask everything about what happened during the week, but I'm going to get the Derek McInnes stuff out the way first. And the last time that we played, and I thought this was interesting, just sort this out. The last time that we played Kilmarnock, this was the team that we thought, the predicted team that we thought that we would play in Kilmarnock that day. It was Joe Hart, Alistair Johnson, Carter Vickers, Scales, Taylor, McGregor, O'Reilly, Hattati, Forrest, Kyogo and Maida. Not much change you're going to say. We did have Bain on the bench, Palma, Kuhn, Adam Ida, Norowski, Tomoki Awata, Paolo Bernardo, Tony Ralston and Stephen Welsh. And it's when you look at it, there's not much change from last season, is there? But anyway, let's see how, listen to just a little bit of Derek McInnes, first of all, just to see how confident he is to come up against a Celtic side that done so fantastically well in the Champions League.
No dislocation or fracture, which was our first concern, but he's got severe ligament damage. We've had him scanned last night. We still get the results of that scan to give us the clear picture, but we're going to be without him for probably, 2, 3, 4 months. There's no doubt about that. We've got some severe damage. He's been a wee bit fortunate. We managed to, the doctors at Dundee and our staff managed to get back into place, but it was a painful one for him. So it's a blow for us. I mean, it's like big player for us, the defender who plays every week for me and has got such a huge influence in the team. He's been almost perfect since he came to the club.
Right.
So I spoke to him.
¿Sabías que Google factura?
Come on, YouTube bloody adverts, isn't there? Yeah, I need to get Amazon the thing that gets rid of the adverts on this, because it's just a pain sometimes, isn't it?
Yesterday, quite like the gas in the air, to be honest. He was talking about that, but he's trying to be philosophical about on the scan. So I think managers will have to deal with that responsibility that he's shown for us since he came on. That's but a fair majority saying that Celtic just can't match a top Bundesliga team after the Dortmund game. It's just not possible to do that. And you see last night, that is the case. You know, Rangers did it 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. You've got to say, you expect that for him, didn't you? You expect that is a whole lot. I mean, he is one of them, but you've got to expect. He's a Kilmarnock Ranger. He's the Kilmarnock manager, and he's got to mention Rangers, isn't he? That's just Scottish football over, man. It's, I mean, if you're his gaffer, you're saying, what are you talking about them for? You're here to talk about Kilmarnock. No, you're a wee love child up in bloody up the motorway, the M77 or whatever it is.
Unbeat top class German teams, and you need to be so confident with your work, so good with your work, and I thought Celtic were that last night.
Wait a minute though, did they win the league that year? No, they didn't. Anyway, we'll listen to this clown a little bit longer.
Obviously,
not too long, I promise.
We've seen two versions, different managers approach Celtic games the last couple of games. You know, Aberdeen go and kind of sit off, work from shape at Hampden, and Celtic still are devastating with the scoreline and how they managed to breach you. And then you see Leipzig last night really coming after Celtic and try to press them. So it was two different types of approaches from managers and clubs with a lot of good players, and Celtic still got the desired outcome.
You can see him, he's a bit crying at this point. He's just like, what hope have we got this weekend?
I think from our point of view, we take confidence for the fact that we have had some good results against them last season.
Last week? You had one good result last season at the beginning of the season. Come on.
We have got to try and be the best version of us, to get results against Celtic as we did last season. We had to do so much right in the game. We are not daunted by it. As we're in the same league, we've got a home fixture against them. It's up to us to go and try and make it difficult for them. But there's no doubt that they're improving, and there's no doubt it's going to be a huge challenge. I do think they present the biggest challenge for all managers in the league. And
Of course they do. They're the best team in Scotland.
I've done now for a period, and certainly on the pitch, my players will have to make so many good decisions on the pitch, in and out of possession. We have to be so organised, but we also, first and foremost, have to be confident in ourselves that we can get a result. And it's important that Celtic see that. They've got to feel that on Sunday, and hopefully, as I say, we can be good enough to make things at the very least uncomfortable. And if we can strike the first blow and get that first goal, and
That'll no matter. The Germans did that. Doesn't matter.
And get the confidence from that, then that's something we're going to try and do, of course, in the game.
Yeah, anyway, that's it. They're going to try and get the first goal, and then they're going to sit back for the rest of the 80 minutes, and they're going to try and nullify Celtic, which Aberdeen tried. It didn't work, and Dortmund had a go. RB Leipzig had a go, and they didn't have much success with that either. And it's always interesting, and we don't usually do that on this channel, but it is. It's Thursday, and I just thought that I would just get the perspective of what he's thinking, and you know, it's funny that he's got to mention that other team across the city. He's the Kilmarnock manager, but he's got to mention them. Little love child. He still rues the day that he never took the job, I think, all those years ago. Anyway, let's get to the transfer speculation at Celtic. There is a lot of transfer talk going on. Even though we're only at the beginning of November. We are only at the beginning of November, 7th of November today, and there is talk about players who are contracted at Celtic. First up is Alexandro Bernabéi. We want to talk about him. Alexandro Bernabéi, the club that he is at, Internacional, have vowed to do everything in their power to try and retain the services of him. But the player that only played 19 times for Ange Postecoglou, who cost Celtic £3.8 million, it's been alleged that Celtic won £8 million for him. He only played 19 games. How can Celtic honestly value him at £8 million after 19 games, and then we shipped him out because he wasn't good enough? That has to be false. That has to be fake news coming out of the media. I don't particularly believe it. I think Celtic would be happy just to get back the £3.8 million they paid. I don't think that Celtic are trying to make that. They're trying to double their money on a player that they don't fancy. I mean, if he was an £8 million player, he would be here fighting Greg Taylor for that position, and we wouldn't have brought in Alex Bailly on loan till the end of the season. Anyway, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments about it. What age is he? He's 24 now, isn't he? Bernabéi, he's 24. He was brought in by Ange Postecoglou, but it didn't work out under Ange or him. Another player, a striker. We've been talking about strikers the past couple of weeks because people have asked about trying to do a change of formation, and I think if you were to try, we can't play two strikers at the same time. We can't go a 3-5-2, for instance. We can't play that because we've no one in backup. It's as simple as that. And people will say, well, you've got Dyson, but Dyson performs better on the wing, and if you take Dyson away from the wing, you're then losing something you're losing that bit of pace and that injection that he brings in that side. So I think the fact that Johnny Kenny has been urged to stay at Shamrock Rovers, his loan deal finishes in December, but they're wanting to keep him. They want him to make a decision, and it said they've made a plea to Johnny Kenny to stay longer, but Shamrock Rovers, they want to keep him after a big season, and seemingly he's been on fire for them. But it's a player that was brought to Celtic, and he never really got a chance, did he? When he was put out to get some game time. The Rovers boss, Stephen Bradley, believes that the ex-Sligo Rovers hotshot, snapped up by Celtic on a 5-year deal back in 2022, has taken his game to new heights. Well, if he's taking his game to new heights, I think what will happen is he'll get brought back at the end of his loan deal, which is December. He'll then get brought into the first team training, as he will, and I think that Brendan Rodgers will have a look at him at training. Don't be surprised if you see Johnny Kenny coming on as a substitute at some point, just for Brendan Rodgers in January to test the player out before the end of the transfer window. And I think a decision will be made then on Johnny Kenny's future. I've been interested in wanting to see what happens with him, because we do need backup. We don't have a third choice, a backup striker. That was going to be a young lad that came up through the ranks that decided to leave Celtic, but he's gone, so we forget about him. Do we bring Johnny Kenny back? Tell me your thoughts in the comments this morning for that one also. I think it is an interesting situation that is going on with Johnny Kenny, and there's the sun just coming up. Absolutely perfect timing, just to blind me this morning. Blinded by the light of Celtic. Anyway, another Celtic player. Yes, there's 3 Celtic transfers that we want to talk about this morning, and it's a player that came to Celtic who's going to be the next big I am. Yes, he was a little winger, and he was going to be absolutely fantastic, but he came to Celtic and he was injured. Yes, he did arrive at Celtic injured. Marco Tilio, you remember him? Yes, Marco Tilio is out injured again. He does have a hamstring injury. I think he's out, and he's on loan to them to the end of the season. But it was going to be interesting to see what happens with him, because let's face it, we've got 2 wingers that are absolutely fantastic. We've got 2 wingers that can't really get a game for Celtic. And where does Marco Tilio fit into that in the long term? I think it's a weird one, because he's went back to Australia, and I don't think that he really wants to come back. I mean, I don't know, but you kind of get the feeling that he's came over, he tried it, he didn't fancy it, and he's on loan from Celtic, the 23-year-old, but with a horror hamstring and quite a few injuries over the last 2 years. Will he ever come back to Celtic, or will he just be released or sold for? Surely Celtic aren't going to want to try and make a profit on Marco Tilio. It's a strange one. Anyway, that's the sort of 3 that we're talking about this morning. Obviously, the left back position is a position that will get spoken even more about. These are players that Celtic, these 3 players are players that Celtic will want to get off the wage bill at some point. And the interesting one to watch for me, the upcoming transfer window, is obviously the Johnny Kenny one, because I think that Brendan Rodgers, the fact that we don't have that third choice striker, I think he will bring him back into the fold, and when his loan runs out in December, or is it the end of November or December, I'm not quite sure. But we do have him for a period of time before the transfer window closes. So don't be too surprised if you see him getting a little bit of game time, just so Brendan Rodgers can see him in action himself. I do understand that Celtic haven't been in touch with the player as much as he thought they would be when he's been on loan in Ireland. So you can read into that whatever you want, but it's not for me to add to the speculation. I'm just here to read you the Celtic news this morning. There will be a live tonight at 8 p.m. Celtic part time. It is Thursday. It will be the last one of the week. I might jump on a live later on this afternoon. No, I'm not, because I'm going away out for the day. So yeah, make sure you join us for the live tonight. If there's any other Celtic news that I can get up before 8 o'clock, I will do. Thank you to the 19,588 subscribers. It is going up ever so slowly, but it's fantastic that it is going up. We are trying to hit the 20,000 before we play them in a month's time. Just in a month's time, yeah, before the cup final. It would be great if we could get to 20,000 before the cup final. If not, I'm sure we'll do it before the end of the transfer window. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day to all the Celtic fans. All around the world. And I've pressed the wrong button. It's always the same. Just press the right button, Buzz. Bye.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the